Fantasy basketball season, it's just around the corner. We are coming up on, 3 weeks until opening night. I'm Nick Whalen. He's Alex Barutha. We're going to give you some players who we've labeled as potential busts for this season. Guys we are mostly avoiding in our fantasy basketball drafts. Alex, there are varying definitions, I think, when you throw out the bust label. So when you went about putting together your list for this video, what were your parameters?
The simplest way to define it would be guys I'm avoiding at their current ADP. Mostly because I'm worried that the downside outcome is more likely than the upside outcome.
Okay, there we have it. I went through a very similar process. I will lead us off, Alex, with a guy who I feel like we talk about in this context every year, a player I love watching, a player I love in real life, a guy I don't necessarily love in fantasy, Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. You look at where he's finished over the last 3 seasons, 93rd, 374th, and 69th overall. He has 1 season inside the top 50 in total value in roto leagues. I know he's better in points leagues. I know there's no Desmond Bane this season, maybe a little bit more opportunity within that offense for Ja Morant, but really it comes down to health more than anything. He's still one of the biggest health risks in the NBA. He's never played more than 67 games in a year, and that was all the way back in his rookie season. We've seen the 3-point volume improve incrementally over these last couple of years, but still a sub 30% 3-point shooter over the last 2 seasons. Not a great free throw shooter either. Not terrible, but not a plus in that category for a guy who gets to the line a ton. So once again, Alex, I will let somebody else take Ja Morant this year.
Someone I'm definitely more interested in points leagues if I'm going to draft him. But I don't think the Grizzlies are in real contention this season. So if he does suffer injuries like we expect him to at some point, I don't think he's being rushed back.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out a free space here. Lauri Markkanen, he's still on the Utah Jazz. Just don't do it. There may not be a player other than Joel Embiid who you've regretted drafting more if you took Lauri Markkanen these last 2 or 3 seasons. I don't really see a path to the Jazz being overly competitive. You're going to be worried about the shutdown once again this year. And on top of that, he misses a ton of games due to injury. 47, 55, 66, 61, 51, 40, and 52 games played over the last 7 seasons. And even when he is out there, Alex, like the rebounding was way down last season. He's kind of just a points, threes, free throw percentage guy at this point. Shot 42% from the field last year because he's taking so many threes. Once again, I am staying away from Lauri Markkanen.
I don't trust him to be on the court in March and April. And I think that's ultimately what comes down to Markkanen for this point. Even if he plays better than he did last year, which seems likely on a per game basis, I can't trust him while he's on the Jazz.
All right, who do you have on your list?
I'm going all the way to the top of the board. Anthony Davis has an aggregate ADP right now of pick 10. I don't like him there. I understand he has, he probably has top 3, top 5 per game upside. At the same time, Anthony Davis, I think the last time he played 65 games in back-to-back seasons was almost a decade ago. And look, he is going to put up huge numbers for this Mavericks team. He's another year older in addition to the injury issues. And I'm not totally confident this team is going to be great. So maybe there is some down the stretch stuff. Maybe they aren't going to be in playoff contention. But ultimately, the downside risk for Anthony Davis is not getting any better. He's not going to be any less injury prone now that he's older.
All right, who else you got?
You're going to hate this. I don't like LeBron at pick 16.
Hey, come on.
Yeah. Aggregate ADP, pick 16. I think it's fine. Look, he's been like 10 to 15 range, generally speaking, over the past few years. But again, another year older, Luka Doncic, it's his team now. I'm sure there will be like a good field goal percentage bump for LeBron, just efficiency. He's not doing as much. But this is the point where, a couple years ago, I'm like, well, I'm not drafting LeBron until, unless it's maybe the second round or like mid to late second round. And I'm just not going to view him more optimistically as he gets older.
Unfortunately, you make a lot of good points, and that ADP does seem a little ridiculous when you factor in the wear and tear and the age at this point for LeBron. If this is a safe space, Alex, I'm going to throw out Cooper Flagg as somebody I don't think I'm going to be drafting at ADP. I mean, we're talking inside the top 30 in best ball, top 40 in a lot of redraft leagues. It's just a lot to ask for a rookie to step in and return that kind of value right away. You look at someone like Paolo Banchero, for instance, a few years ago, won Rookie of the Year, put up 20 points, 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists. but the field goal percentage was in the low 40s. The free throw percentage wasn't great. He shot under 30% from three. In roto leagues in particular, you can't have major flaws and expect to be a top 35, top 40 guy right away. Like, very few players have done it. And it's usually big men who end up ranking high as rookies. I think Flagg is going to be really good right away, especially with no Kyrie for the first half of the season. But we see this every year. There's a difference between having a great real life rookie season and having a great fantasy rookie season. It can be done. Karl Anthony Towns, Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, guys like that were all excellent as rookies, but you need the percentages, you need the defensive stats to be there. Could they be there for Flagg? Sure, they absolutely could. But I'm not drafting him with, I don't know, the 38th overall pick and then feeling like he has to hit his ceiling right away just to return that value.
That's my main point, which I think you're essentially drafting him at his ceiling value at his current ADP.
Yeah, exactly. So love Cooper Flagg, the player. Probably won't be drafting a ton of him in fantasy. Who else you got?
His ADP has slipped compared to where he ranked last year, but Dyson Daniels, guard for the Atlanta Hawks, averaged 3 steals a game last year, improved offensively, most improved player. He was fantastic. But he did a lot of his offensive damage, his improved offense, at least just in terms of volume, came while Jalen Johnson was out. And not only is Jalen Johnson going to be back to start this season, they got deeper. Like, not only did they add Kristaps Porzingis at the top, they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker back there. Like, they're a relatively deep team. And, what are the chances Dyson Daniels, who averaged 3 steals a game last year, averages 3.3 steals a game compared to 2.7? And so I think there's more of a chance he takes a slight downtick in his steals rather than uptick.
I like that one. I mean, they did trade Kobe Buffkin this offseason, so we do need to factor that in. Maybe that's a little bit of a boost for Dyson Daniels. But no, I think that's a good zag, because I think a lot of people are going to be really, really eager to get their hands on Dyson Daniels. I'm going to go outside the top 100 here, Alex, and fire a shot at Scoot Henderson. Barely a top 150 guy last year. It still projects to come off the bench. I mean, it's year 3 now, and you got Drew Holiday, you got Shaedon Sharpe, Denny Avdia in place in Portland. He'll sneak his way into the starting lineup at times, but it just hasn't happened yet for Scoot Henderson. I mean, even last year, Blazers were making somewhat of a charge. Final 25 games of the season, he was only averaging 13 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 40, 34, 75 shooting splits. I know we're talking about a guy who's going in the 100 to 120 range, so it's not like it's going to kill you if you take a shot on Scoot Henderson, but he's just not my cup of tea. I liked him a lot as a prospect. I haven't really seen the payoff yet at the NBA level.
Yeah, and he's not guaranteed to be a top 2 usage guy on that team either, right? Because they have Denny Avdia and they have Shaedon Sharpe, who are both wanting to take steps forward and handle the ball more. So at best, he's probably a number 2, but maybe more likely a number 3 in that Trailblazers hierarchy.
So the other 2 guys I had on my list, Alex, were Joel Embiid, who's a free space for me every year on this, and Paul George. I think they're actually going at pretty reasonable spots given the level of risk here, especially when you compare it to where Embiid especially was going last season. So I still think I'm avoiding both of those guys, but I think the price is actually pretty fair. Who else do you have on your list?
I have Josh Hart for the Knicks, so guard forward, being drafted around the 50-ish range. We just got some, news, quote unquote, that he was with the second unit during scrimmages on the first day of Knicks training camp. We'll see what new coach Mike Brown does in terms of the lineup. Is he going to start big with Mitchell Robinson? I'm just not sure. I expect Hart to see 36, 37 minutes a game again and shoot at the efficient clip that he did again compared to last season. And if he's down to like 32, 33 minutes a game, I don't think he'd be worth it around pick 50. And the next guy, I understand why he's being drafted around pick 50, pick 60 in points leagues, and that's Jalen Green, new guard for the Phoenix Suns. Points league guy, right? I mean, could average 25 points, 5 assists. You're not worried about the efficiency. But in category leagues, look, maybe he improves, shoots a little more efficiently, but Devin Booker is still running that team. And it's been 4 years for Jalen Green, and he wasn't exactly, I mean, he had Fred VanVleet with him, Şengün, giving him plenty of easy looks. He was not playing on a bad team and launching terrible shots. So in a category league especially, I would not be taking Jalen Green around pick 60.